The Legion Slim 7 was my favourite laptop last year. It was great for people like me who want an all-round, powerful yet portable laptop, one that is large enough to get real work done, yet has the performance required to do some solid AAA gaming in my downtime. And of course, at a very reasonable price. Well, with me is the new Slim 7i for 2023, and my big question is this still my favourite laptop, or would I now choose something else? Before we get into it though, quick recap. The I designation in the 7i name means it has an Intel processor. The Slim 7 is the one with an AMD processor. But other than that, they are really the same laptop. Look and feel. Overall, this laptop feels very well built. It looks great too. The keyboard deck feels solid and there is minimal screen flex. The hexagonal vents towards the back of the laptop just make it look so cool, and so does the RGB keyboard. Plus, having the lesser used ports around the back of the laptop make your whole setup just look clean and minimal, which I like. On the topic of ports, you've got two USB-C ports on the side. One is Thunderbolt and the other is USB 10 gigabit. And yes, both support charging. On the back, you have Lenovo's charging port for when you need to use their included power brick for high-performance tasks. You also have HDMI 2.1 and 3 USB-A 10 gigabit ports. It's also great to see lights indicating where the ports are at the back of the laptop. That makes it easier to plug devices into. My only gripe is the slow UHS 1 SD card reader. The display on this machine is very good. It is matte and non-reflective. It has a resolution of 2560 by 1600 and a refresh rate of up to 240 Hz. It is also very bright at almost 500 nits, and we noticed no PWM flickering used to lower the brightness. This kind of display is perfect for gaming. The resolution is high enough for games to look crisp on screen, but it is not too high for the graphics performance inside this laptop to drive it when you're playing AAA games. But here's my personal issue with displays like these. No one I know games full time. Most people game on the side. For example, you program during the day and game at night, or you video edit during the week and you game on the weekend. For these types of folks, there is a sacrifice. For programmers, it is important to see as much text on screen as you can. The screen size, resolution, and brightness is what determines this. Since this screen is physically large and is very bright, I can comfortably see more content on screen than on a competitor like the Alienware X16, and that is positive. However, Lenovo's own Slim Pro 9i or the MacBook Pro 16 have higher resolution panels. On those panels, you'll see even more content without needing to squint. And for creators, the colors on the Legion's panel just aren't accurate enough for professional color work. So, although this panel itself is great for gaming and browsing the internet, it just isn't optimal for those use cases. The great news is that Lenovo lets you customize this laptop with a higher resolution, more color accurate display, and I would definitely consider that upgrade. The keyboard overall feels great. Typing feels comfortable and the key presses are satisfying. Being the nitpicker that I am, it doesn't feel quite as good as Lenovo's Slim Pro 9i, which is one of the best keyboards I've ever used. That's because this keyboard's key travel feels a little on the low side, even though it does have 1.5mm of travel. It just felt a little bit like the keys are bottoming out. This year's model though also has per key RGB, which makes it look pretty, and it is very easy to customize to a single color, in case you want to use it in a professional environment. And for those weird people who like a number pad, this one has one. Oh, and when you press the function key, it dims all the other keys to make it easy to see the secondary functions. Razer's keyboards do that too, and I love it. Trackpad. The trackpad is about as good as you get. Tracking is smooth and accurate, and you do not lose accuracy when you click, which is something that often happens on mechanical trackpads like this one. Sound from the speakers is decent overall, but it doesn't get as loud as we would like. Plus, compared to the best speakers in the industry from laptops like the MacBook Pro 16 or again the Slim Pro 9i, it just doesn't feel as immersive, mainly due to its limited frequency range and the lack of stereo separation. The webcam on this laptop just doesn't look that good. Performance. Our review unit has an i9-13900H processor, 16GB of RAM and an RTX 4070. In Geekbench 6, which tests a variety of common performance tasks, it performed exceptionally well. By the way, side note, when we initially ran our Geekbench 6 test, we got poor results. That is because this laptop has 16GB of soldered memory running in dual channel mode. For applications that benefit from fast memory access like Geekbench, you really want to be running in quad channel mode. But the good news is that there is a single memory slot accessible and empty for you to do an upgrade. Once we performed our upgrade, which enabled quad channel memory access, our scores improved. I'll place a link down below to the memory we used. In Cinebench, it also performed very well in both single and multi-core, and during our stress test of running Cinebench on a loop for 10 minutes, we were pleased to see it sustain its strong performance. Now, during this test, it initially drew 120 watts of power, but then averaged down to 82 watts. What's interesting is that the Alienware X16 drew a lot more power, but didn't perform that much better. My hypothesis is that there are substantial diminishing marginal returns of feeding these processors more than around 90 watts of power. I showed something similar occurring in my video on the more powerful Intel 13th Gen HX processor. That being said, I'd have to do the same testing on this H series processor to confirm that. Anyway, I'd always prefer feeding the laptop less power for similar performance, as it normally means there is less heat to dissipate and therefore less fan noise. But unfortunately, that is just not the case with this Legion. Under full performance, this laptop gets loud and it feels very warm to the touch. Gaming performance was very good, with it being close to the RTX 4090 in our Asus M16. You can see though how the performance from these RTX 40 series graphics is heavily determined by how much power the manufacturer feeds to it. The supposedly worse RTX 4080 in the Alienware X16 destroyed the M16 with its RTX 4090. The same applies with this Legion's 4070. It is fed 125 watts of power and significantly outperforms the 4070 in the XPS 17, which is fed 70 watts of power. Now, when it comes to heat and fan noise in light tasks like browsing the web and using Office, for the most part it was dead silent, which is great. However, it did feel quite warm to the touch. For right-handers though, I have some good news. Most of the warmth you feel is under the right palm rest, so if you use a mouse, it's not that bad. Left-handers, I'm sorry to say, you will feel warmth even for light use. Now, if this laptop does anything intensive, the fans do quickly spin up and you will hear them. And under full CPU load, the laptop feels very hot and gets very loud. For gaming, it doesn't feel quite as crazy hot, but it is just as loud. Please note, I strongly advise you run this laptop on its default balanced performance mode, not its high performance mode. In that mode, the laptop is only slightly slower, but there is a decent drop in temperatures you feel and fan noise. Battery life. On battery, the laptop's performance does drop quite a bit. That being said, a score of 13,000 in Cinebench when on battery power is still pretty good. To test battery life, we dimmed the screen to 200 nits and then ran a Netflix video on repeat over Wi-Fi for 4 hours. The laptop did reasonably well for a high performance one. I would expect it to last around 7 hours for this use case. This is mainly due to its very large 99.99 watt-hour battery. Upgradeability. As mentioned, 16GB of DDR5 memory is soldered and a single memory slot is empty and available. Additionally, owners have access to 2 SSD slots and the Wi-Fi card. Before I talk pricing and round out this review, I need to fight for you guys. The advertising from the McAfee bloatware pre-installed on this laptop is an absolute disgrace. My workflow was constantly interrupted by massive advertisements trying to scare me into purchasing a subscription for their service, even though I had notifications switched off on the laptop. On a laptop that costs well north of $1,000 US, this is an utter outrage and completely unacceptable. Yes, you can uninstall it, but I shudder to think how many people may have been misled into purchasing a subscription due to the aggressive way it is marketed at you. I mean, heck, if you're buying McAfee purely for antivirus, Windows already comes with one. Lenovo, this is not okay. Alright, let's wrap with pricing. At the time of filming, this laptop can be had for $1,500 on Lenovo's site for a model with an i7, 16GB of memory, 1TB of storage and an RTX 4060. The AMD variant of this laptop is about $100 cheaper. For a configuration that matches our review unit with an i9 and 4070, Best Buy has it listed at $2,100. So, here's what I think. Last year's Slim 7 was my favourite laptop. I think it offered a lot for the money, and if you were able to pick it up on a sale for say $200 off, it was an incredible deal, and it regularly went on sale. This year's model has a substantial step up in performance, both CPU and GPU, and it is better built. Unfortunately, I felt it felt noticeably warmer to the touch in real-world use. The main issue I have with it though is in 2023, for people like me, Lenovo's own Slim Pro 9i 16-inch is much better. By the way, I'm referring to people who do something intensive for their job or studies and then game on the side. That laptop has a better display, feels significantly cooler to the touch, is quieter, has a better keyboard and runs faster on battery. And it costs around the same as the RTX 4070 version of this Legion. And by the way, that Legion still comes with 16GB of memory, so you may need to perform the upgrade. Whereas the Slim Pro 9i comes fully kitted out with 32. The reason to get the Legion over it is if you want an RTX 4070, as the Pro 9i maxes out at a 4060 in the USA, or you want the faster ports of the Legion. Look, don't get me wrong, the Legion Slim 7 is a very good gaming laptop for its price. I just don't think it's a must-buy laptop in 2023 unless you get it on sale. And if you are deciding between the Slim 7 AMD or the Slim 7i Intel model, I'd get the AMD and save the $100. That's unless you're running something like Premiere Pro that massively benefits from Intel's QuickSync technology. Well, that's it. Links to all the laptops I talked about today will be down in the description below, as well as links to the best prices on my favorite laptops right now. Take a moment to smash that like button and get subscribed. It shows your appreciation for this video and it makes my mother very proud. Till next time, go do something awesome with your day and I will catch you later.